Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it is now time to take a closer look at the new Protector Emils, the very first unit that we've ever been able to use of this character, who was introduced during the first anniversary almost 2 years ago, which is a long time. And I never really thought we would be at a point where we would actually be able to use him. So it's nice that we are getting more original characters in the game. You know, slime people love their light novels and their manga and all the characters that are still yet to be presented there. But until we get voice actors for them, you're kind of shit out of luck. So we're going to have to deal with what we get. And the original storyline is what this game is now attempting to push, at least for this month. But Emils seems to be a fairly solid overall protector. He's quite generic, which I do enjoy very much, and he leads two different forces, one of which is not good, one of which is really good. So Antagonist, as we've seen with the Shinsha showcase, is not the most robust team ever, but Exalted Champions is a very good team. There's a word that I'm thinking of right now, but I can't think of it. But it's very good. It's been good for 6 months now, and it remains good. So the fact that he can lead two different teams gives him a lot of extra versatility in team building, which we're going to see today. He gives both of those teams extra damage against dark enemies. So, you know, Exalted Champions doesn't have a lot of light characters, but it still has AoE characters. He gives magic allies 20% attack and defense. He gives you 30 skill points on turns 2, 3, 4, and 5, just like all the other burst protectors do now at this point, which is very good. Makes points not a super big issue. Now, his actual protection skill, he turns every single normal orb into an orange, and then after that, he will change two of those oranges at random into rainbow Soul of Unity orbs, which you're not getting any extra ult gauge off of this because you're already sending essentially a full hand of oranges, but you will be getting extra skill points and extra protection gauge, which orange teams definitely need is more protection gauge. So that just opens it up, and if you get two uses of Emils because you stocked them up, you can get 4 rainbow orbs in a single turn, and then you could kind of play around with some other rainbow characters that we've got, and you could get a full 6-hand if you really try to push your luck. But that's very good. It does give him a lot more viability in stages that maybe nerf oranges a little bit, because the rainbows can get you around that nerf. He gives everybody guaranteed pierce for 2 turns, which is good. It's not restricted like Wielder of Magic where it was only magic allies. This is just everybody gets pierce rate for 2 turns. Pierce by itself is not a very strong buff. You need extra pierce power, you need pierce resistance down to really make an impact. But hey, it's here. The team is built around Pierce. And then the third effect is he gives oranges extra skill points for 2 turns. So that's also very, very good, because oranges, they don't give you a lot of protection, they don't give you a lot of skill points. They give you a little crap ton of ult gauge, and that's about it. So the fact that he's got rainbows built in for protection gauge and points, the fact that he's got skill points built in, means that he can give you quite a bit in not a lot of time, especially ult gauge. Alright, so this is what we're going to start with. We've got Emils, we've got Cleash, we've got the new Shinsha, we've got the old, 1-year-old Wielder of Magic free-to-play Ranga. Because both him and Cleash are on Wielder of Magic, we can actually use his orb change turn 1 instead of Cleash's. Doesn't really matter which one you use, quite honestly. But Ranga also comes with the added benefit of a little tiny bit of Pierce power for 2 turns for all magic allies, which we're running a mostly magic team. So this will help Shinsha out a little bit, because the team currently does not have Pierce power. It's gonna get it, and we can get like a tiny bit of it from Cleash's ult swap, but I'm not really banking on that. So we're gonna bring Ranga. He's free to play, easy access. We're gonna bring Light Lumi for the 60% light buff for Shinsha, and then Space Rimuru for the attack buff for Shinsha. If Space Rimuru is skill fused, he'll also get ult resistance down, but yeah, you don't have to have him skill fused to make him work on this team. And then Shinsha's got her, ult buff and her own orb change and everything like that. Alright, so again, because Cleash and Ranga are both on Wielder of Magic, we put them in the first 2 slots, so we can use Ranga's Convert here, which has a 10% gauge increase, which is just enough to get us a Protector next turn, and that's probably the most important thing. So we're going to leave this Lumi plus the support block that we have underneath Shinsha will help get us a little bit extra protection gauge, but you can see it's right on the line right there. So Ranga is going to give us a 2-turn Pierce Power buff. If we use the alt swap with Cleash, it'll give us a little bit extra Pierce Power. Her skills are not maxed out, so I think she gives up to 5% if she is. I think she's giving like 3, so it's not a lot, but it's certainly something. Okay, yeah, we can, well, can we make that work? I would have much preferred to get 3 Shinsha orbs. Sorry, hold on. Alright, much better turn. We got 4 Shinsha orbs, which is really, really nice. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take out Cleash and Lumi, because I don't want them to get ults next turn. I only want Shinsha to get an ult, and the EX ult at that. So we'll do this, we'll do this. We will use Ranga's Pierce Power buff, which we're going to activate using Emils shortly, and then we'll use Shinsha's own orb change because I want the extra gauge increase on these oranges. And then Emils comes in, and his animation is good. I mean, it's our first time actually being able to use him, and he's a protector, so it's not like he has a big, super flashy attack kind of thing, but it still does look good. And he just kind of smirks at you and waves as he walks away from all the torture he's inflicting on you. Alright. So, we don't need the defense skill. Alright, so let's do this. This will get us the EX ult for Shinsha. And you can see that we got the 2 rainbow orbs. One for Rimuru, one for Cleash. They are totally random. It doesn't really matter who gets them, though, because we're still getting maximum ult gauge from a full 6 hand of oranges. So the only thing we're benefiting off of this is extra skill points and Shinsha, and extra protection gauge, which, as you can see right here, is giving us almost... Actually, it is giving us 1 full protector, because we're making up for the amount that we have here, and it's covering it again. So that's very good. The fact that Emils can reliably cycle himself when you've got a level 5 Charm on for 40% extra protection gauge, when you've got the extra 10% gauge increase, it does make him very, very nice, because it's very difficult to cycle oranges normally. So here, we're going to get extra protection gauge from the Rimuru and the support Blanc on turn 3, and I think that should help us out if we can get good and lucky on turn 3. Well, that's not as lucky as I was hoping for. Oh well. I wanted to show off the ability to get a double Emils and get multiple rainbows, but I don't think we're going to really see that here, because this is just not a great hand. So, let's bring Lumi in for Ranga, and let's use her light buff now. That way we can hold the Pierce Power, we can hold the light buff on Shinsha, we could send her away, and then this entire hand we can just convert. And because we know that we can cycle a whole protector with Emils now, we can use him and not really have to worry about next turn. Okay, we gotta turn this off. And there's a full hand, there's the 2 rainbows. Cleash got the bookends, that's very cool. And boom, boom. And we can send this, not have to worry about it. And we have max points. Max points, another full protector. We've got Shinsha ready to go in the back. And we only need to use the 55-point attack buff from Rimuru and the 50-point buff from Shinsha, so we have enough, and this will do more than plenty. And Rimuru is skill fused, so he's going to give extra ult resistance down. If you don't have him skill fused, it's not a big deal. We're still going to kill here. We have way too much power going on. So attack buff, ult damage buff, plus pierce resistance down, while we still have the pierce power from Ranga held over. And we already have a natural hand of oranges, but we have 3 ults, and now we're going to have 2 rainbows and an orange. So it's not going to change an ult. It's not going to change an existing rainbow to an orange and then change it back. It's just going to be like, okay, you got oranges? All right, here's two more rainbows for you. But let's send Shinsha, and we will call this stage over and done with. Does 1,000,000. If you didn't have Reamer's skill fused, it would have done like, what, 800,000? Still, I think they only have like 500k HP in EX2. More than plenty damage right there, with 2 free-to-play units and 2 very, very old units supporting the new Shinsha. Alright, next up, we're going to go into EX3, Tempered Edge Clayman, using the Fire 2.0 team, which was a orange burst team, and now we're just going to make it a little bit better. So Emils will convert the entire hand to oranges, will give us the rainbows, let him cycle. We've got Violet as our DPS. She's got Pierce rate already, so she's not really gaining anything off of Emils, but we're going to have the ability to cycle a lot better and have a lot more points than what we'd normally have running Toa or something like that. So, full fire team. We got to use the burn to get Clayman to stop binding us and poisoning us, but otherwise, I mean, this team could do it 2 years ago. There's no reason that we can't do it now with a much better protector. Alright, so turn 1, we'll bring Benimaru in for hero, I guess, sure. We use his orb change. This prevents us from getting binded and poisoned because we apply the burn, gives us a full 6 hand of greens, which gives us a lot more protection gauge than what 6 oranges normally would. So, we're looking pretty good. Not that. Yeah, okay. So we've got Emils ready to go next turn, so we'll just bring Violet in for whoever has the most orbs. Also, I don't want the crit nerf put on her, and looks like she's coming in for Benny. I think. 1, 2, yep, look, coming in for Benny. Perfect. So, let's do some extra damage just for funzy onesies to help the burn. And then we'll swap him out. We'll use her own buffs right there. We're getting the passive skill points from Emils instead of the 40 when you use him like we do with Toa. And now, I think we can use the Pierce buff with Shizu. Leaves us with 47. Means I can take Shizu out, and we can give... No, actually, hold on. We gotta do Emils first. Boom. And then we have 2 rainbows here that are not Violet. Would Hero give them away to the highest tagging character, which would be Violet? Well, we're going to find out. No, he doesn't. All right, well, that's good to know. He does not give away does not give away rainbows. That is some science that I did not know. Okay, well, 3 stacks of burn. We have all the points. We're going to get an ult for Violet, obviously, and we can also cycle Emils. We're not getting the full 100 points here. 84 points is certainly not as much as I would like, but if we were sending only greens, or only oranges, that were not buffed by the 50% gauge for skill points, that we're not getting anything else, and the rainbows, like, we would be at, what, 50 points or something like that? It's awful. Absolutely awful. But the most important thing is that we can cycle Emils, because Emils is going to give us 30 points anyways, and we don't really need that much at this point. We just need 110. And by being up to 91, now we're at 121, which means we have enough to use both the Shizu and Guy buffs, and we're good. We're hunky-dory here. So Clayman's dead, and he, Emils on a team that really wants oranges works very well. And even for a team that doesn't really need oranges, he can still lead it pretty effectively. So Violet, she's going to either kill or very much close to kill. 220 with 2 stacks of burn, and her final orb does 60? 63, and then the burn kicks in. 130k. Boom. Easy peasy. 3 turns. Much, much easier than trying to use Toa here. If we tried to bring Warrior's Wielder of Magic Milim Protector, like, yeah, we would get the points, we would get the orb changes, we wouldn't get the rainbows, we wouldn't get the extra skill points, and technically Violet wouldn't get the pierce rate from Milim either, because she's not a magic character. So Emils works very, very well for pretty much any orange-focused team, including what I would say New Year's Blessing, but I don't have their beatdown. We do have the Wielder of Magic beatdown, so let's go into that. Alright, final part of the video. Emils leading the Wielder of Magic team because their beatdown is available. We're going into Inferno 3, so we're really going to put him to the test leading a team that he wasn't truly made for, because he's not giving us that extra 60% damage versus fire enemies. He does it to dark, which the golem is not dark. But we are still leading a magic team, so we are going to get pierce rate, pierce power, magic buff, element buff. We're on an orange team, which means that Shinsha gets extra attack every time you use oranges. Very much we'll be able to run this. And I think, you know, if we were going type neutral, Emils would be a lot better than Wielder of Magic Milim ever would be in that type of scenario. It's only because she has that extra 6% damage, which pushes her probably a little bit above Emils in this specific scenario. Alright, so we saw what Ranga did in the first clip, right? So Wielder of Magic orbs get converted to oranges, that's good. We have now pretty much a full Wielder of Magic team. We'll bring... I think she gives us skill points, sure, why not? We'll send this, and now we're not going to do as much damage as we would normally be used to seeing here, but we're going to be able to cycle Emils. We're going to get rainbow orbs, we're going to get a lot of skill points. These are very important things that Milim would not do for us when we used her. Okay, 2 Shinsha orbs I think is still enough because of the alt rush ability we're going to use with Shizu here, so I don't think we're out in any danger. Alright, you have an alt. That's actually not great, but oh well. Let's just swap you out for Ranga. Alright, well, we'll definitely get the EX alt with Shizu. So, let's alt rush, let's give ourselves the pierce power, and then we'll use the Shinsha buff to give oranges even more protection gauge and 100% damage, just straight up. So now, we're going to be looking pretty good, and we're really going to be cycling Emils now, because we've now got the charm for 40% protection. We've got 60% protection from Shinsha. We've got some rainbow orbs here. So this is really good, and yeah, we're getting quite a bit more. 2 EX alts ready to go. They're both single targets. Very nice. Everyone has pierce power. 14,000, 27,000 because we're type advantage. And even though we're not getting that 60% buff, it's really not going to matter when we actually end up nuking. So, we can take Shinsha out now. We can... let's see. We could swap you out. We'll use the element buff for... Actually, no, we don't need to do that, actually. We can just hold, right? No, we should still do that. So let's use the element buff now, just to give it to her. And then we'll send her away for Violet. And then we'll convert this entire hand using Emils. We've got a lot of protection gauge from still the buffs that we're getting from Shinsha, the Charm, and the Rainbows, so we can send it without having to worry about not having Emils next turn. We're going to have max points, and that will allow us to use the magic buff and the alt buff with Shinsha, which we are also stacking up attack by sending orange orbs. Now, I don't think rainbows contribute to those stacks at all. Kind of unfortunate, but I would very gladly trade off, 6% attack or something for the ability to cycle Emils and get maximum skill points every turn. I think that's much more impactful. So 16,000 right there. She's got the element buff and everything. No pierce power, though, because we didn't have her up. And now this thing is going to die. And we got a lot of Ranga orbs. Great. Exactly what I wanted to see right there, actually. So, and in for Ranga, we still have the pierce power active, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll bring Shizu in for Hinata, because why not? And then we will use the magic buff. Boom. And then we still have points left over, and we will use the 50% EX, and we're up to 41% attack. Alright, cool, whatever. Not really super duper impactful. We don't have the alt resistance down anymore from Shizu. Not a big deal. We're going to kill here. Whether by just Shinsha's alt alone, or the follow-up EX alt for Shizu. This thing is dead, though. And you know what, we'll watch Halloween Shinsha. But we can start the outro now. Emils, I think, is a very good protector. I think I like him more in practice than I did on paper. Oh, we didn't actually kill with that. Surprising. Doesn't really matter, because She's is going to take care of that. Anyways, back on topic. I like Emils more in practice than on paper, because I wasn't sure how much protection gauge we were actually going to get when everything was said and done. 2 rainbows, I mean, is good. It's certainly not 6 rainbow orbs, so I was very much afraid that even with that, we wouldn't be able to fully cycle. Thankfully, though, we are, and that makes him a lot more viable for many, many teams. And again, like, we didn't show it here, but we could probably take him into a stage where oranges are straight up nerfed, and he would still do okay. And we also didn't see us get the double use of him to get the 4 rainbows. Again, not a big deal. The ability does exist for him. But overall, I would say Emils is pretty good. Is he worth summoning for right now with literally a month to go until the anniversary? God, no. No. Oranges still are not very favored. While he is very good, the anniversary team is going to be much better than him, hopefully. Quote unquote, hopefully. So, no, I do not think you should summon for Emils right now. But if he comes back in the future on some random banner as a side feature character, or during the rerun, or he's a selectable or something like that, definitely if you pick him up, he will be an asset for you in the future. But let me know what you guys think of this new Emils. That's it from me. Take it easy, and I will see you all later.